Chapter 90. 1. A request from the Stewart family. It had been a considerable time since Caspian's last visit to Southlake Corporation. This time, he walked directly into the CEO's office. "Mr. Lynch, when did you return?" Miranda asked. She was clearly surprised by his unexpected presence. She was unaware of Caspian's return, as Willow had not mentioned anything about him being back in the company. "I came back after wrapping up some business. Let's talk inside the office," Caspian replied. "Of course." Miranda nodded and followed Caspian into his office. "How's everything with Willow at the company?" he inquired. "I've been assisting Mrs. Lynch, and everything is running smoothly," Miranda replied respectfully. She was keenly aware that despite Caspian's low profile, he was far from an ordinary individual. After all, he had left a substantial impression at her wedding, with John stepping in. Inviting such influential figures like John wasn't something just anyone could do. A person with such strength who remained low profile was a rarity for Miranda, leaving her deeply captivated by his enigmatic presence. Despite her disappointment upon discovering his marriage, Miranda felt truly honored to work under him. "Thank you for being present at my mom's funeral," Caspian remarked as Willow had already informed him about Miranda's present that day. "You knew about that?" Miranda asked, taken aback. "That's right, Willow told me about that," he replied casually. "Mr. Lynch, please accept my condolences," Miranda said solemnly. "My mom's funeral was rather subdued. I'll organize a memorial service in 2 days, and I hope you'll attend," Caspian stated thoughtfully. "Of course. I'll be there without a doubt," Miranda replied. Caspian's invitation was a gesture of respect, and Miranda appreciated the sentiment. "That's all right. You can go and handle your business now," Caspian said. He then contemplated how to handle the Flying Dragons and the York family. To everyone's surprise, the past few days had been unusually calm, with no signs of activity from the York family or the Flying Dragons. Nevertheless, they would all bow before Lilith's grave in 2 days. Julian's troops were already assembled outside Southlake City. Regardless of what the Flying Dragons and the York family did in the next 2 days, their fate would be the same after 2 days. With this in mind, Caspian made a phone call to Sylvia. "Caspian, what's going on?" She answered. "In 2 days, we'll be holding a memorial service for my mother. I need you to prepare for it," Caspian said. "Sure, I'll handle it," Sylvia replied. "On the day of the memorial, I want all of Southlake City's media companies, television stations, and any large screens to broadcast scenes of my mom and those bastards fighting." Caspian's voice grew somber. He continued, "I want everyone in Southlake City to know that my mom was a heroine who was murdered by the scum from the Flying Dragons and the York family." "Understood," Sylvia replied. "Tell Julian to prepare some wreaths and banners. The memorial should be grand," Caspian instructed. "I'll relay the message right away," Sylvia assured him. "In 2 days, have the troops enter Southlake City and crush the York family and the Flying Dragons no matter what," Caspian added. "Understood, Lord Caspian," Sylvia acknowledged. Meanwhile, Willow received an unexpected call from Marilyn when she was working. It was a rare occurrence for Marilyn to call personally, leaving Willow curious about the reason behind the call. "Grandma, is everything okay?" Willow asked politely. "Willow, everything's fine. It's just that I've missed you, and it's been so long since we last met," Marilyn said. She continued, "The Stewart family is hosting a family dinner tonight, and I'd love for you and Caspian to join us for a meal. I also want to spend some quality time with you." A family dinner? Willow hesitated momentarily. Her bad memories of the last family dinner were still fresh. "That's right. I'm specifically inviting you this time. Let's all come together and enjoy each other's company. Rest assured that no one will dare to speak ill of you this time," Marilyn reassured while smiling. "Okay, I'll come after work," Willow readily agreed. "Remember to bring Caspian along," Marilyn reminded her. Since it was a family dinner, it seemed only suitable to include Caspian. I'll talk to him and see if he'd like to come, Willow said. All right, whether Caspian joins or not, your presence is a must, Marilyn stressed. In her mind, Caspian's attendance was optional, but Willow's presence was indispensable. Caspian had barely ended one call when Willow's call came through. What's going on, Willow? Caspian inquired. There's a family dinner at the Stewart residence today. Grandma called and invited us, Willow explained. Another family dinner. Caspian's expression hinted at a growing headache just hearing those words. Yeah. Are you up for it? Willow asked. I'm okay with it. If you're going, count me in, Caspian replied. He was determined to stick close to Willow and shield her from any potential threats the York family or the flying dragons might pose. He couldn't afford to let her out of his sight. I've already agreed to go back for family dinner, Willow informed him. All right, then I'll go with you, Caspian said. Great. I've got something to do. I'll hang up now, Willow said before ending the call. Caspian had some free time, so he spent the entire day alone in the CEO's office to ensure Willow's safety. As Willow was about to finish work, he headed downstairs and waited for her in the parking. How long have you been here? Willow asked with surprise as she approached him in the parking lot. I just got here a little while ago. I'm here to take you back to the Stewart residence, Caspian replied. Okay, let's go. I assume the Rolls-Royce is with you too. We can each drive our cars, Willow suggested. Her car had been parked in the corporation's parking lot, as she felt more insecure leaving it there than in the villa's garage. So, Willow planned to drive her car back to the villa today. Of course, Caspian agreed with a nod. Subsequently, Willow settled into the driver's seat of the Rolls-Royce while Caspian trailed behind in the Ferrari. They drove toward the Stewart residence, one following the other. Upon their arrival at the Stewart residence, Alicia and Richard had also just pulled up in their cars. The Stewarts noticed Caspian and Willow arriving in their luxurious cars and warmly welcomed them as they stepped out of their vehicles. Alicia and Richard couldn't help but feel jealous when they saw the Stewarts' enthusiastic welcome of Caspian and Willow. However, they had no option but to stand aside, their resentment palpable. The Stewart family dinner officially began after everyone was present. Willow, the Stewart family business is facing challenging times. If things continue like this, the Stewarts will be in dire straits. Considering your role as the project director at Southlake Corporation, could you arrange some projects for the Stewart family? Marilyn asked while extending her invitation to Willow as they prepared to dine. Chapter 92. Hiring an assassin. Well, Willow's expression tightened as she found herself in a difficult predicament. She had contemplated helping the Stewart family, but she recalled the instructions given to her by Miranda when she assumed her role. The new CEO had given her a strict directive stating that she could have business collaborations with anyone, except the Stewart family. The Stewarts in the room noticed Willow's hesitation and mistakenly believed that her success had led her to look down on their family. Willow, we acknowledge our past mistakes and hope you won't hold them against us. After all, we're still the Stewarts. Can you stand by and watch the Stewart family fall apart? Donald said. He held the significant position of general manager within the Stewart Group, which was the linchpin of the entire Stewart family. Henry apologized sincerely. Willow, I used to be headstrong, rude, and entitled. I apologize now and hope you won't dwell on our past errors. You're the director at Southlake Corporation, and we believe you can make a difference for the Stewart family. The purpose behind the Stewart family hosting this family dinner was to appeal to Willow. Caspian felt a deep sense of satisfaction after observing the change in the Stewarts' attitude toward her. His decision to acquire Southlake Corporation was driven by the desire to enhance Willow's standing within the Stewart family, and this objective was slowly being realized. I have indeed considered helping the Stewart family, but the CEO of Southlake Corporation does not allow us to collaborate with the Stewart family. I'm sorry, but my hands are tied, Willow lamented, a hint of helplessness in her tone. What? Who's the new CEO, and why does he have a grudge against the Stewart family? Marilyn questioned confusedly. I have no idea. I've been at the company for so long, and I've never seen him before, Willow replied. The mysterious CEO piqued her curiosity. All she knew was that he was Caspian's classmate, but the details about his identity and appearance remained elusive. That's strange. The Stewart family hasn't offended anyone, right? There's no reason for the CEO of Southlake Corporation to target us. Marilyn mused and tried to make sense of the situation. Willow, if there's any misunderstanding between the new CEO of Southlake Corporation and the Stewart family, try to meet him and explain our situation. Although Stewart Group isn't large in scale, we still have our strengths, Carl suggested. All right, I'll do my best. Willow nodded. When Carl spoke up, she had no reason to refuse him. Willow, the fate of the Stewart family in Southlake City rests on your shoulders. We're relying on you, Marilyn said. At this critical moment, it's all up to Willow. She's definitely capable of handling it, Kate said, sounding a bit conceited. Everyone nodded and bowed, trying to flatter Willow, who remained unimpressed by their attempts. The Stewarts continued to ignore Caspian, but he remained unfazed. As long as Willow's status improved in the Stewarts family, his objective would be achieved. Alicia felt even more frustrated when she saw Willow become the center of attention at the family dinner. However, she had no choice but to swallow her anger and bide her time. After the family dinner ended, Caspian and Willow returned to Riverside Villa. With rounded eyes, Willow turned to Caspian and asked, "Could you find out from your classmate why Southlake Corporation is reluctant to collaborate with the Stewart family?" She continued, "We have the expertise, so we'll deliver perfectly according to their requirements if they give us projects." Caspian readily agreed and said, "I'll look into it for you." This evening, the Stewarts had gone out of their way to please Willow, treating her in a notably different manner. The situation would be awkward if Willow couldn't secure the projects they hoped for. "All right, I'm counting on you. If you manage to do it, I'll sleep with you every night. It'll be more convenient for you," Willow said. Her cheeks flushed as she spoke. She had been waiting for Caspian to broach the subject, but his nonchalance had only frustrated her. Convenient for what? Caspian paused. He looked puzzled, not quite grasping her implication. Willow's blush was even more profound, and her shyness filled her demeanor. She retreated into her room, muttering, "Either you genuinely don't know or you're pretending not to. I'll just ignore you." At the York family residence, Samuel anxiously questioned, "Mom, didn't we talk to Inspector Ezekiel yesterday? Why is there no action from the Office of Inspector General today? What's going on?" Dawn asked. "Inspector Ezekiel wouldn't ignore you, would he?" However, Nadia replied, "He's quite cunning. He agreed on the phone, but now there's no sign of him doing anything. He must be worried about something." Dawn was furrowed. What should we do then? Derek is still in the hospital and lying there, and we just let it be. But Samuel had an even graver concern. This matter isn't the most crucial one. Don't forget the deadline mentioned by Caspian. He really could go on a rampage and destroy the York family. The chilling realization that he was a formidable force sent a shiver down everyone's spine. They acknowledged the truth that Caspian could make his threats a reality. Dawn proposed a solution. "Mom, let's have Zachary handle this issue. If Zachary steps in, Ezekiel will have to save face for the York family." Nadia had another plan in mind. "It's not the time yet. I still have one more idea. We can hire an assassin and assign them to eliminate Caspian." Early in the morning, Caspian drove Willow to work in his Ferrari. Again, he entered the building after dropping Willow off. Once he settled into his CEO's office, he called Miranda. "Mr. Lynch, feel free to give me any orders," Miranda said. She was curious about Caspian's unexpected presence at the company. He rarely intervened in person before. "You can let Willow know that Southlake Corporation can collaborate with the Stewart family now," Caspian instructed. "I understood, Mr. Lynch. There's a new real estate project on the eastern outskirts of Southlake City. It's a great opportunity for the Stewart family," Miranda replied promptly. Caspian instructed, Handle this matter yourself. Sure, I'll inform Mrs. Lynch right away, Miranda replied. This presented an opportunity to offer Carl valuable training and advancement. Assigning such a major project to others would inevitably result in shortcuts and compromised quality. All right, I got it, Miranda replied. Then, she promptly made her way to Willow's office. Willow, I've just received the CEO's latest instructions. Southlake Corporation is now allowed to collaborate with the Stewart family, Miranda said, getting straight to the point. Really? Willow couldn't believe her luck. She looked at Miranda in amazement. Absolutely. It's a direct order from the CEO himself. Miranda confirmed. That's incredible, Willow exclaimed. Her excitement was evident. Just the day before, she had discussed the possibility with Caspian, but she never expected it to be resolved so effortlessly. He also instructed us to hand over the development project in the eastern outskirts of South Lake City to the Stewart Group. Miranda added, Chapter 90, 3 Shadows. But this project is so important. Are you sure that we should hand it to the Stewart family? Willow asked with surprise. That's right. Mr. Lynch has made arrangements to give your father full authority to handle the project, Miranda said. Willow was once again dumbfounded. Why? Mr. Lynch is probably not close with my father, isn't he? I don't exactly know why either. Perhaps he thinks that Carl would be able to execute the project well. Miranda simply found an excuse for that. That's great. He certainly would be able to handle this project amazingly. Willow was so excited that she couldn't speak properly. She knew too well about her father's current situation. He had been ignored by everyone in the Stewart family in recent years. The Stewart Group was always managed by her uncle, Donald, instead. If Carl could work on such an important project, his status in the family would surely rise. You can tell him to come over and go through the formalities then, Miranda said. Okay, I'll call him right away to tell him about the good news. As Willow spoke, she pulled out her phone. Willow, what's up? Seeing that he got a call from his daughter, Carl answered it immediately and asked, Dad, the president of Southlake Corporation has decided to hand over a project to the Stewart Group. Also, they're giving you full authority to work on this project. Me, Carl said with shock. Yeah, the CEO specifically said to let you handle the project, Willow repeated. That's strange. I don't think I know the CEO of Southlake Corporation, Carl asked in confusion. You shouldn't worry about that for now. Just come over and go through the formalities. This isn't a small project. Willow was over the moon. All right, I'll come over now, Carl said. After you enter our company building, come to my office right away, Willow said. Okay. Carl ended the call and rushed to Southlake Corporation's company building as soon as he could. When Carl arrived at Willow's office, Willow had already prepared all the agreements and other procedures. Dad, this project will be yours once you sign this. I'll sign right away. Carl was exhilarated as he spoke. If he could do the project well enough, the Stewart Group would receive tens of millions of dollars in profit. Delighted, Carl left Southlake Corporation after signing the agreement. He still couldn't believe what was happening even as he left the company building. Carl brought the project agreement back to the Stewart residence and showed it to Marilyn. She grinned from ear to ear. The Stewart family was surprised upon knowing that Carl was handed an opportunity to collaborate with Southlake Corporation. I knew that Willow wouldn't abandon our family, but I didn't expect her to be so efficient. She actually managed to snatch an opportunity to collaborate with Southlake Corporation. Marilyn was overjoyed. Once this project is successfully completed, our profits will at least be $60 million, Carl said excitedly. With Willow as the project director of Southlake Corporation, would we ever lack projects to take from now on? This is such exciting news. Let's have a family dinner party tonight again. Invite Willow and Miranda over for the meal, Marilyn said. Then, Marilyn called Willow. Not having an excuse to turn her down, Willow could only agree to attend. Unlike yesterday, Willow didn't drive today, but Caspian was waiting for her downstairs right on time again. Grandma invited us for dinner, Willow told Caspian after seeing him. Okay, let's go then. Caspian nodded. He had to follow Willow around these days to protect her. This was to prevent people from the York family and the Flying Dragons from attacking her. Your classmate actually allowed a collaboration between Southlake Corporation and the Stewart Group. The moment Willow got into the car, she said this with a thrill. Yeah. Unbothered, Caspian answered. This was his own arrangement. There was nothing for him to be surprised about. I can't believe that you're not surprised at all. I didn't think your friend would do things to show respect to you, Willow said. I've told you that we're old friends, Caspian said. Thank you so much, Caspian. We wouldn't have to be afraid of the Stewart family anymore now that we have this project. Willow looked at Caspian with round, watery eyes. We're husband and wife now. Why bother thanking me? Oh yeah, don't forget about what we discussed yesterday, Caspian said. Stunned for a second, Willow asked, what did we talk about yesterday? We agreed that we'll stay in the same room if I manage to help the Stewart family to get a project, Caspian said. That instantly made Willow blush. She wasn't serious when she brought that up yesterday. She didn't expect Caspian to actually believe it. Okay, Willow lowered her head shyly. It's just that your bestie is still living at our house for now. We'll talk about it again after she leaves, Caspian said. Yeah, we can't do that since she's staying with us. As Willow spoke, she felt increasingly embarrassed. Everyone was there when they arrived at the Stewart residence. Today, Willow was definitely put in the spotlight. Everyone was trying to please her. As long as they had Willow here, countless projects would be handed to the Stewart family. The Stewart family would certainly prosper and succeed. Caspian, who didn't say a word during the dinner, suddenly spoke up when the party ended. I'm hoping to have a memorial gathering from my foster mother. You guys should join when you're free. Caspian's words took everyone aback. The atmosphere at the party turned awkward too. The Stewart family knew what happened to Caspian's foster mother as well. But what's the point of having a memorial gathering after so much time had passed? I have to manage the Stewart group, so I won't be free, Donald said. Her body was buried so long ago. Why should we still mourn her death? It's not like she's someone famous. I won't attend it too, Henry said. I'm way older than your foster mother. It wouldn't be suitable for me to join such a gathering, Marilyn said too. Everyone in the Stewart family made it clear that they wouldn't join the memorial gathering. When Caspian had his wedding, a lot of people attended because it was a large-scale wedding. It was something to be celebrated too. This time, nobody would join a depressing event such as a memorial gathering. That applied to the Stewart family too. Do as you please then, Caspian said with no expression. This memorial gathering would definitely not be a simple one. Caspian, I'll definitely be there. Don't worry, Carl said. Thank you, Dad. Caspian thanked him after hearing that. On the other hand, Kate was hesitating whether to attend the memorial gathering or not. When they were on the way back home, Willow asked, How are you planning to have the memorial gathering? Do you need my help? It's all right. Someone is handling it. You just have to be there, Caspian said. Of course I will, Willow said firmly. They then arrived outside the riverside villa. Caspian felt something strange the moment he stopped the car. Stay in the car, and don't move. I'll head out and check what's going on. Caspian quickly said, What's wrong? Willow was a little shocked as she asked. Don't ask. Lock the car door and don't come out, Caspian demanded. Seeing the serious look on Caspian's face, Willow nodded. The moment Caspian exited the car, he saw the shadows of 8 men dashing from different directions. Chapter 94, Killing the 8 Men. The 8 men dashed toward Caspian and had him surrounded in an instant. Caspian took a good look at them. These men were all in black and were masked. They seemed to be hitmen. Even the air they exuded felt different than ordinary men. All of them had daggers. They seemed to be professionals. They were certainly not to be underestimated. So, you're Caspian, the man leading the group asked. That's right. Who are you guys? Unfazed, Caspian answered. We're the Dark Blades, and we're on the 8th spot on the list of top hitmen. The man in black said, in the underworld of Diatorin, There was a group called the Dark Blades that was placed 8th on the list of top hitmen. They were known for carrying out their job with merciless means. They always managed to finish their job, and there were no targeted victims who had managed to escape from them yet. "Who hired you for this?" Caspian asked. "You don't have to know that since you're going to die anyway. However, I'll let you die knowing the answer. It's the York family," the leader said. Caspian could guess it too. It had to be either the York family or the Flying Dragons. "We got our money, so we have to do our job," the leader added. "I'm afraid that you're not capable of finishing the job," Caspian said expressionlessly. "What a joke. Nobody has managed to escape from us yet. Stop with your nonsense. Just do what you have to," Caspian said. "Since you're so excited to die, we'll fulfill your wish then," the leader said. Caspian had already made all necessary preparations for this. It was just that these men were highly skilled as professional hitmen. Sitting in the car, Willow was watching everything anxiously. She could feel the murderous air surrounding her. She didn't even dare to breathe. The York family spent a fortune to hire the Dark Blades to kill Caspian. They told the Dark Blades that Caspian wasn't an ordinary man, and they had to be careful. The Dark Blades knew that if the York family could pay $200 million to kill this man, he was certainly not someone normal. Just by looking at Caspian, who was standing there, they felt an extraordinary air from him. They felt pressured out of nowhere. They thought that Caspian was certainly a strong one. The Dark Blades were trying to find any weaknesses of Caspian, but there were none at all. Hence, they had no choice but to start attacking him. With a gesture from the leader, the 8 men all charged toward him. In the blink of an eye, blades could be seen everywhere. Caspian was surrounded and attacked by those men at the same time. The daggers in their hands were extremely sharp. They moved as quickly as shadows. Sitting in the car, Willow watched the fierce fight happening outside. Only then did she understand how professional hitmen did their jobs. The one she hired back then could not be compared to these men at all. These people had their own special techniques, and Caspian couldn't get rid of all of them as swiftly as last time. Willow started to worry. Zoe was working on her production in the villa. After hearing noises from the outside, she rushed out of the house to check what was going on. When she reached the doorstep, she saw Caspian fighting against 8 men in black. She was scared out of her wits. She didn't know who these men in black were, but judging from the techniques they used in the fight and how Caspian had to fight back, she knew that these men weren't just any regular people. Without any hesitation, Zoe headed back to the villa and called the police station. Joey was at Riverside Park. She wanted to look for clues on any possible eyewitnesses who saw Caspian's foster mother being killed that day. Right then, she got a call. It was from her colleague. She told her that there were men trying to kill someone at the Riverside Villa. The distance from Riverside Park to the Riverside Villa wasn't far. Without thinking twice, Joey immediately drove over to the villa as soon as she could. In front of the Riverside Villa, the fight between Caspian and the Dark Blades was still ongoing even after 10 minutes. Hundreds of techniques were used. With no weapons on him, he was still able to hurt 2 of the men badly. But his shirt was torn apart. The Dark Blades were famous hitmen in Diatoran after all. The reason why Caspian couldn't get rid of them immediately wasn't because of his lack of skills. The injury on his arm hadn't healed yet. He might not have been affected by the injury if he had faced regular men. But fighting against actual hitmen with an injury like that was fatal to him. Even so, he managed to seriously injure 2 of them. The Dark Blades then stopped attacking. They had seen how skilled Caspian was. They had the upper hand for having more men anyway. As long as they didn't let Caspian escape, they'd be able to end his life sooner or later. At that moment, Caspian was standing behind the Rolls Royce. Willow suddenly remembered that the machete Caspian used when he saved her last time was in the back of that Rolls Royce. She hurried to open the trunk from inside the car. Seeing that, Caspian realized what she was trying to do. So, he pulled the machete out right away. When the Dark Blade saw Caspian fishing out a machete, They were all taken aback. The 8 of them attacked Caspian all at once. It was a tough fight for them, even when Caspian was unarmed. Now that he had a weapon with him, it would be even more difficult for them to defeat him. "Why did all of you stop? Fight me!" Holding the machete in his hand, Caspian yelled. The dark blades were professional hitmen after all. Since the York family had already paid them for this job, they had to kill Caspian no matter what. If not, they wouldn't be able to keep their position in this industry anymore. "Attack!" The leader commanded again. Gripping their daggers tight, the 8 men charged at Caspian. But now that Caspian had a machete, it was much easier for him to fight those men. Caspian swung his machete hard when the men surrounded him again. Instantly, everyone could feel how powerful he was. Ah! Shrieks and screams could be heard everywhere. 4 men couldn't avoid him in time when Caspian slashed their chests. Although the other men weren't hurt, they were all horrified. But they didn't back off. Now that Caspian was armed, he was able to attack more powerfully. He was swift as he countered all their attacks. Willow was still in the car. She only relaxed after seeing Caspian having the upper hand with the machete. After informing the police about this, Zoe returned to the villa again. She didn't want to miss out on such an intense fight. Caspian emitted an air of dominance as he held the machete as if he was invincible. The result was clear. Caspian managed to defeat the dark blades with just 10 techniques and his machete. Nobody could win all the time after all. The moment they decided to kill Caspian, they were fated to end up this way. Back then, the enemy of Diatoran sent countless strong hitmen to hurt Caspian. But they were all defeated. As the ruler of Diatoran, Caspian would have died many times if he wasn't skilled enough to fight people like the Dark Blades. After seeing Caspian defeat the Dark Blades, Willow only opened the car door with trembling hands. Chapter 95 Investigation. Caspian, are you all right? Willow walked up to Caspian and asked with concern. "I'm fine. Thank God I had a useful weapon," Caspian said. Right then, Zoe hurried over. Horrified, she asked, "Caspian, who are those people? Why were they trying to kill you guys?" "They're professional hitmen hired by the York family," Caspian said casually. "Again, the York family just won't let you off," Zoe said with resentment. "It's okay. Whatever the York family tries to do would be useless anyway," Caspian said expressionlessly. He had decided to make the York family disappear from South Lake City in just a few days. He killed all the hitmen they hired with a huge sum of money after all, so the York family would certainly pay more to hire even stronger hitmen. If not, they would hit a dead end. That way, Caspian would be able to achieve his goal. He wanted to know who were the ones supporting the York family. "What do we do with these bodies?" Willow asked anxiously. "Let Sylvia handle these," Caspian said. "Do we have to trouble her again?" Willow asked. "She's familiar with this kind of job," Caspian said blankly. Right at that moment, Zoe froze. She yelled, "Ah, this is no good." "What's wrong, Zoe?" Confused, Willow asked. "After seeing a fight breaking out, I contacted the police station. The cops will be here soon," Zoe said. Caspian was speechless. "I saw many of them attacking you, and was scared that you'd be in danger." "That's why," Zoe said in embarrassment. "It's okay. What I did was just self-defense," Caspian said. After all, Zoe only called the police station, as she was worried that he would get hurt. He shouldn't scold her because of that. They were all professional hitmen whom the cops were after. Now that he got rid of all of them, it should be considered an act of kindness. If the cops dared to do anything bad to him, he'd call the army in from the suburbs. "But you've killed so many people. Would the cops let you off for this?" Zoe asked. She was a little worried. "Don't worry. I have my own way of dealing with it. They can't do anything to me. It was just self-defense on my part, so they can't charge me for that," Caspian replied. "I think we should still clean this place up. The cops would definitely take you with them if they see this after arriving here," Willow said. She was still concerned. "That's right. Caspian, let's hurry. It'd be too late to wait for Sylvia to come, Zoe said. It's too late, Caspian said. Right after he said that, the police cars had already sped toward where they were. Willow and Zoe were both shocked to see the police cars arriving there. Had this been how things were with the cops? They practically arrived at the crime scene after just a few minutes. Whenever the cops were needed, they wouldn't appear no matter how long they waited. They didn't expect the cops to arrive so quickly this time. Seeing the arrival of the police cars, Willow and Zoe knew that it was too late to clean up the crime scene. They could only play by ear now. Joey parked the car in front of the Riverside Villa before getting out. When Willow and Zoe noticed that it was Joey, they had a bad feeling about this. After all, she had some arguments with Caspian before. They didn't know if Joey would make things difficult for Caspian. Caspian was slightly taken aback to see Joey here too. What a coincidence. On the other hand, Joey was astounded to see bodies lying everywhere on the ground. Did you kill all these people? Joey asked. That's right. It was me. Caspian could only admit his involvement. Joey was stunned for a second. She then pulled out the cuffs. No matter what, she had to take Caspian away after he killed so many men. Caspian didn't resist. If he really wanted to escape, not even all the cops in the police station would be able to stop you under arrest. Joey cuffed Caspian's hands and said, That's unnecessary. Don't you think I can tell what's going on? Caspian said. How dare you act so arrogantly when you're being arrested? Joey stood rooted to the spot, seeing how arrogant Caspian was. Watch what you say. I'm just being cooperative under investigation, Caspian answered. Now that we have the crime scene, eyewitnesses, objects of evidence, and your lack of denial here, there's no need for further investigation, Joey said. Should anyone be charged for self-defense? I couldn't just stand here and let them kill me, could I? Caspian argued with a valid reason. Self-defense. Joey asked in confusion. That's right. These men wanted to kill me. I only killed them just to protect myself, Caspian explained. Why would they kill you for no reason? Why did they do that? Joey asked again. They were paid to do their job. That's just how professional hitmen are, Caspian said. Professional hitmen. Joey was even more surprised when she heard that term. You work at the police station, so you must have heard of the Dark Blades, haven't you? Caspian asked. Are these men from the Dark Blades? Aren't they rumored to be really strong? Anyone being targeted by them wouldn't be able to escape. Dumbfounded, Joey watched the bodies on the ground. She threw a glance at Caspian again. She couldn't believe that Caspian got rid of the Dark Blades. Did you kill them all by yourself? Joey was confused as she asked. Who else could it be if not me? Could it be the work of these two hotties here? Seems like you don't know that I worked in the army before, Caspian explained. Joey knew a few things about Caspian. Now that she found out that he was a soldier, it was not wonder he could save that doctor. It was just that everyone in South Lake City said that Caspian was just a regular soldier. How could he possibly kill off the Dark Blades by himself? Whenever the Dark Blades were mentioned, most people would be terrified. Who hired them? Joey was suspicious. She continued to question him. It was the York family. They said it themselves, Caspian said. The York family. Are you referring to the most powerful family in South Lake City? Joey asked. That's right, Caspian answered. Regardless of the situation, you should come with me to the police station first, Joey said. Seeing how Joey was about to bring Caspian with her, Willow quickly said, Ms. Sanders, my husband was forced to kill them as his life was at stake. Do you really have to arrest him even if it was just self-defense? I can testify that our lives were indeed in danger just now. Yeah, I saw it clearly too. I was the one who called the police station and reported it. Zoe supported them. Chapter 96, Acting Rashly. Don't worry. I'm just taking him to the station for a simple investigation. If it's really like what you said, he'll definitely be fine, Joey said. Let's go then. Don't worry, Willow. I'll surely be fine, Caspian reassured her. Right then, a few police cars arrived at the villa's entrance. About 10 cops got out of their cars. They were all shocked to see the horrifying scene before their eyes. "Sorry for being here late, Miss Sanders. Where's the killer?" one of them asked. "We got him. It's him, Caspian Lynch," Joey said. "Collect the evidence and bring the bodies back. Find out their actual identities." "Okay," the cop replied. "Let's go, Caspian." As Joey spoke, she took Caspian with her. "Caspian," Willow mumbled. She ran after them with concern. "Don't worry, Willow. I'll definitely be okay. Call Sylvia later. Tell her that I'm just heading to the police station for record purposes. She shouldn't act rashly. Her number is..." Caspian was worried that Sylvia would take action right away after knowing he got taken away by the cops. That's why he told Willow to send Sylvia a message. "Okay, got it." Although Willow didn't understand Caspian's intentions, she jotted down Sylvia's number. "Sylvia, is that the one who pretended to be a general officer?" Frowning a little, Joey asked. "Yeah," Caspian said while nodding. "Don't act rashly. What a joke. Would she even dare to barge into the police station? Pretending to be a general officer is a serious offense. You certainly know where she's hiding now." "Tell me," Joey said harshly. Caspian didn't say a word. He ignored Joey. He was then brought into the police car by Joey and left the villa. Willow immediately headed back to the villa and called Sylvia. At that moment, Sylvia wasn't occupied with anything. She picked up the call instantly when she noticed that someone was calling her. "Hello, who is this?" Sylvia wasn't sure who the caller was. She had to ask that because it was "May I know if you're Sylvia?" Willow wanted to make sure of her identity. "That's me, Mrs. Lynch. Is there anything?" Sylvia recognized Willow's voice. "Something happened. Caspian was taken away by people from the police station. He told me to call you and inform you about this," Willow said. "What?" "The cops took Caspian away." Sylvia jolted and stood up. She had been waiting for the cops to make a move. "That's right. They left just a few minutes ago," Willow said. "That's great. Really great," Sylvia said excitedly. She had been very free for the past few days. She was waiting for the cops to attack Caspian. That way, she could then ask Julian's army to enter the city and defeat the police. Hearing Sylvia's reaction, Willow was taken aback. "Why is that great? Caspian is taken away now. Whose side are you on?" Willow asked. "You've misunderstood me, Mrs. Lynch. Of course, I'm on Caspian's side. Why did the cops take Caspian away?" Sylvia quickly explained. "A group of hitmen appeared out of nowhere just now, but they were all killed by Caspian in the end. The chief of the station, Joey Sanders, arrived and took Caspian away, but Caspian was left with no choice but to kill those 8 men. They're called the Dark Blades," Willow added. "Don't worry, Mrs. Lynch. I'll think of a way to save Caspian now," Sylvia instantly said. It was not strange that Caspian could take all of these hitmen down. It was too easy for Lord Caspian to get rid of people like them. "Don't act right away. Caspian asked me to call over and tell you to not make any moves rashly." When Willow heard that Sylvia was ready to take action, she quickly added this. "Why?" Sylvia was a little confused as she asked. "He said he's just heading to the station for recording purposes. He should be fine." Willow repeated what Caspian said. "All right, understood," Sylvia replied helplessly. It seemed like she had to continue waiting here. "That's about everything. I'll be hanging up now." After saying that, Willow ended the call. In the car, Joe and Caspian were halfway to their destination. She suddenly got a call from her Mason. "What's up?" Joey asked. "Chief, something happened. Harry and I noticed that the people from the Flying Dragons were on the move, so we followed them. We found out that they arrived somewhere called the Rocky Den. They seemed to be dealing drugs there," Mason said. Joey's heart skipped a beat. She quickly asked, "How many of them are there?" "There's no more than 300 people altogether, but quite a lot of men are armed," Mason reported. "Okay, got it. Just keep a watch on them. Don't take any action. I'll come right away." Joey said. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, Joey heard gunshots from the other end of the call. Horrified, Joey asked, "What's wrong? Mason, what's going on?" "We're doomed, Chief. We're exposed now," Mason said anxiously. "Leave the place now. Safety is your main priority," Joey stated. Bang, 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 followed by the sounds of another round of gunshots. There was no reply from Mason anymore. Joey could tell from the noises that Mason and the rest were fighting them now. He couldn't escape. She was on pins and needles, hitting the gas pedal hard. She sped toward the rocky den situated in the suburbs. Mason and Harry were investigating the matter alone, and they're now facing more than 200 people. This was an urgent situation. They had to send more help now, or else they'd be killed. Joey didn't even have time to call for more support. "Are you going to the rocky den by yourself?" Caspian heard their conversation and asked. "I'm driving now. Help me call the station right now." Joey was focusing on driving. She had no time to do anything else. "Okay," Caspian nodded. It looked like he was the only one who could help. Besides, he was Lord Caspian after all. It was his job to ensure people's safety. Now that someone was going against the law, he couldn't just stand aside and watch. Moreover, the ones dealing drugs were people from the Flying Dragons. He couldn't possibly ignore the matter. Caspian then took Joey's phone and called the police station. He told them to send some men over to the rocky den. After hanging up, Caspian glanced at the speedometer. He was taken aback. "Are you trying to fly the car? You're nearly at maximum speed now." "God damn it," Caspian said. "You have no right to say that. We're trying to save people here. It's an emergency." Joey howled and continued to drive. Her car sped on the road. Caspian felt helpless. It didn't feel good to trust someone with his own life. He was really worried. With Joey's driving skills, there was no chance of survival if anything happened when they were moving so fast. Joey saw the anxious look on Caspian's face out of the corner of her eyes. She made fun of him. "What? Are you scared? Weren't you arrogant just a moment ago?" Chapter 97, The Flying Dragons. "I don't want to die with you." "Just focus on driving," Caspian said expressionlessly. She got so anxious because of such a minor matter. It was not worth losing their lives over this. For safety reasons, Caspian removed the cuffs quietly. Putting his kind of stuff on him was useless. If anything happened suddenly, he'd be able to react right away. "Don't worry. I'm an amazing driver. Nothing will happen," Joey said proudly. "I told you to just focus on driving. Don't get us killed," Caspian said. "Don't jinx it. If I die, you won't survive either," Joey said viciously. Right after she said that, a huge truck hurled toward them from across the street. "Ah!" Joey shrieked. It seemed to be too late to avoid this truck now. If this went on, the two vehicles would crash into each other for sure. In that critical moment, Caspian stretched his arm out and jerked the steering wheel. He made the car swerve to the right. Whoosh! The big truck rammed past them. Joey was so terrified that she was trembling all over. Her face turned pale. They were just a few seconds away from death. Caspian took control of the steering wheel. He then pulled the brake up and stopped the car at the roadside. At that moment, Joey was still too horrified to regain her composure. "Is this what you call being an amazing driver? Why are your legs shaking now?" Caspian laughed. If he hadn't helped just now, the two would have died. Joey was such a careless woman. She nearly killed him. Joey came back to her senses. She recalled what happened. Thankfully, Caspian took action in time. Or else, they really would have lost their lives. "You're..." Lowering her head, Joe saw that the cuffs on Caspian's hands were broken. "I just exerted a bit of strength and the cuffs broke on their own. The quality of these cuffs from your police station isn't that good," Caspian said. Joey was embarrassed, but she was still thankful that Caspian acted immediately, or else it would have been a tragedy. "Just drive. Aren't you going to save someone?" Caspian asked. "Let me take a breather." Joey released a long sigh. After what happened just now, her limbs were shivering. She couldn't drive at all in her current condition. "I'll drive then," Caspian said. He could tell that it wasn't suitable for Joey to drive now. "Do you know how to drive?" Joey asked. "Don't talk nonsense. Get out of the car first." Caspian rolled his eyes at Joey. He then exited the shotgun seat. Joey got out to exchange seats with Caspian. The moment Caspian sat in the driver's seat, he hit the gas hard and sped off. The car's speed was even higher than now it was when Joey drove. "Hey, why are you driving so fast? Are you trying to get us killed?" Joey immediately grabbed the armrest and yelled. Only at that moment did she realize how scary it was to be in the shotgun seat. No wonder Caspian seemed so nervous when he was in the shotgun seat just now. "Your colleagues would die if we arrived late," Caspian said. The car sped all the way and reached the base of a mountain. He parked the car at the roadside. The moment they got out of the car, Joey saw Mason crouching on a tree in the middle of that mountain while holding a gun. Harry was hiding in another tree. Both of them were covered in fresh blood. Under the tree, Mason and Harry were surrounded by many men, who were getting closer. "Stay in the car. Don't run anywhere," Joey said. "If you keep talking, they'll die in no time." Caspian pointed at the two on the tree. Joey knew that they couldn't afford to waste time any longer. She then quickly pulled her gun out and dashed over. When Joey got out of the car, Caspian exited the car too. He walked over from another direction. The cops were in danger fighting off some criminals now. As Lord Caspian, he couldn't just ignore the matter. In the middle of the mountain, Mason had no bullets on him anymore. Harry was suffering from serious injuries as well, and his current condition was unknown. Due to the clear difference in numbers, they could only run away after being exposed. The two were shooting at the others as they backed off. They went into the dense forest as they fought off these people. But they were too weak with just the two of them. They were eventually stuck. Harry was shot once. The two separated amid the chaos. He could only hide in the tree to dodge their enemies' attacks. Mason saw the enemies surrounding the tree below. They were slowly closing in on them. He was prepared for what was coming. Sacrificing himself for the country was something to be proud of. Bang! 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 Ah! Just when Mason was left hopeless, he heard gunshots. The criminals below him slumped to the ground. He jerked his head back. To his shock, it was his chief, Joey, who rushed over. Mason immediately got excited when he saw Joey. But when he saw that Joey was alone, the hope in his eyes dimmed a little. He thought Joey would bring their team with a lot of people over to support them. "Mason, Harry, I'm here," Joey shouted. "Chief, don't move any further. They have a lot of people with them." "It's dangerous," Mason yelled. There were too many men on the enemy's side. Joey would just sacrifice herself if she came over alone. But how could Joey back off at this moment? She was the chief officer. She couldn't just stand aside and watch her subordinates being in danger. Bang, bang, bang. As Joey shot a few times, she ran ahead. Ah, Joey's sudden appearance caught those men off guard. A lot of them got shot and killed. They were mostly from the Flying Dragons. Joey had always wanted to get rid of this drug cartel, but the Flying Dragons had their roots deep in South Lake City. It wouldn't be realistic to catch them in such a short time. She could only deal with them bit by bit, then get rid of them from South Lake City as a whole. Those men finally reacted in time. They all ganged up on Joey and fired at her. Bang, 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 swoosh. The sound of gunshots didn't stop. These criminals actually had rifles with them. "Kill her," a man shouted. That was one of the two protectors of the Flying Dragons, Jaden Chance. There were two leaders and two protectors of the Flying Dragons. They were Quentin, Skylar, Jaden, and Simon Miller. Jaden came to the Rocky Den under the leader's instructions to handle some dealings with the Shadow Tigers from abroad. He didn't expect that they would be discovered by the cops. After hearing Jaden's orders, the men from the Flying Dragons started to fire at Joey at the same time. Chapter 98 Partner Up. Bang! 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 Another round of rapid firing could be heard. Countless bullets landed on the huge tree behind Joey. Thankfully, the tree was thick enough for Joey to hide behind safely. It was just that the enemy was shooting at her so relentlessly that Joey couldn't come out at all. People from the Flying Dragons and the Shadow Tigers surrounded Joey from different directions. Then, they sent a few men to secretly close in on her. They were ready to kill Joey from the side without her noticing it. Joey didn't expect them to move so fast either. All of a sudden, she was left in a hopeless situation. As those men got closer to her, Joey became more compromised. Even the ones advancing toward her from the sides slowly exposed themselves. She couldn't afford to hide any longer. Otherwise, she would get killed. Mason was anxious seeing Joey in such grave danger. But he could barely protect himself at this point. He had no spare bullets at all now, and couldn't help Joey. Everything was left to Joey to deal with. At the same time, Caspian had quietly crawled toward them from the other side. He scanned the scene briefly, and could guess where Joey was hiding. Caspian had no weapons with him now. But he quickly dashed toward a man and twisted his neck. He then snatched the machine gun from him. After that, Caspian started to shoot madly. Bang! 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 The sound of gunshots was heard behind the men of the Flying Dragons and the Shadow Tigers. The sudden change of events caught those men off guard, and they didn't have time to react. Instantly, a couple of men got shot and fell to the ground. When the others came back to their senses, they quickly hid behind the trees at the side. Jaden was able to react swiftly. He hit himself the second he heard gunshots. Joey thought she would be sacrificing herself. To her shock, she heard agonizing shrieks from the enemy instead at such a critical moment. She thought that it was the people from the police station who came in time. She got excited and dashed outward. She now felt more confident than ever. But when she came out from behind the big tree, she saw nobody from the police station around her at all. She only saw Caspian holding a machine gun with his right hand and shot madly at the enemy. Joey froze when she saw Caspian. When did Caspian manage to sneak over here? But they were in an emergency now, so she didn't think much about it. Joey had to come up with ways to escape first. Then, Joey joined the fight. Bang, 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 ah, ah, ah. Screams of pain could be heard everywhere. The enemy wanted to dodge Caspian's attacks, but they exposed themselves to Joey instead. They were easily targeted by her. Joey and Caspian attacked them from the front and back. The enemy had nowhere to run at all. The people from the Flying Dragons and the Shadow Tigers were terrified. They wanted to escape, but they were eventually shot and killed by Caspian. Caspian and Joey worked together smoothly. Mason was prepared to sacrifice himself a moment ago. He was astounded to see Caspian coming over to help. But not everyone in the Flying Dragons and Shadow Tigers were useless. They had 200 or 300 men with them. Some charged forward to counter the two's attacks. Thousands of shots aimed at them rendered Joey in danger again. Joey froze before quickly finding a place to hide. There were too many men on the enemy's side. She couldn't deal with them all by herself. Caspian immediately dashed over to save her. He gunned down the enemy with the machine gun. A lot of those men were shot and slumped to the ground. For Caspian, these hundreds of men were nothing. After all, he defeated a whole army by himself when he was on the battlefield. He was in worse conditions back then. After killing one man, he'd have to pick up another gun from the others and continue to shoot others. Ever since he was crowned Lord Caspian, he had been leading all the other soldiers. He rarely had to fend off the enemy himself like how it was today. Since the terrain here was complicated with lots of trees to hide behind, Caspian's shooting power was reduced. Don't just stand there. There's only 2 of them. Kill Caspian off first, Jaden howled. Caspian's reputation was known by everyone in the Flying Dragons, so of course Jaden knew him. The Flying Dragons had wanted to get rid of Caspian for a long time. Now that they finally met him, they had to take the opportunity to kill him off. That would be a huge success. When everyone heard Jaden's order, they started attacking the 2 again. With so many men shooting Caspian at the same time, he had no choice but to hide first. "Surround him!" Jaden yelled again. The members of the Flying Dragons and the Shadow Tigers tried to suppress Caspian with their guns. At the same time, men came at him from all directions and closed in on him. The moment Joey heard gunshots over at Caspian's side, she came out again. She killed a few men off just to protect Caspian. This time, the men from the two gangs were left in shambles. They didn't know who to deal with first. Right then, Caspian charged toward them. Bang! 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 Ah! 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 The enemy didn't expect an attack from behind. They were all in disarray, being confused by Caspian and Joey's attacks. "Caspian, I told you to stay in the car. Why did you come here?" Joey didn't think Caspian. "Nonsense. You'd be dead meat by now if I didn't come to save you." Caspian was speechless. "I was going to arrest you, yet you're trying to save my life." Joey felt that she had been making things difficult for Caspian all this while. Why would he be so kind as to save her now? "There aren't many responsible cops like you here. I won't just stand aside and watch," Caspian said. He was holding another special post as the commander of the investigation team. It was his job to check if the leaders of the South Lake team were good enough too. Although Joey acted rashly sometimes, she fulfilled her responsibility well. She'd sacrifice her own safety to save her colleagues. Someone like her deserved to be praised. After this matter was dealt with, he'd have to promote Joey to a higher position. When Joey heard what Caspian said, her heart warmed up. "It's too dangerous here. This matter has nothing to do with you. I don't want to drag you into this." Joe checked their surroundings. The difference in manpower was too great. It seemed impossible for them to get out of here. "Looks like you forgot that I worked in the army before. It's my responsibility to protect people's safety. I'm not someone who'd become an army deserter," Caspian replied firmly. Joey was stunned for a second. Was this the man she knew? Why did he seem so charming to her right now? His sense of justice was shocking to her too. "If we manage to escape, I'll look into all the things you did in the past properly to prove your innocence." Joey made a promise. Chapter 99, saving her life again. "I did nothing wrong from the start," he replied helplessly. "Don't say anything unnecessary now. Let's think of a way to escape first. If we work together, we can totally defeat everyone here." "Okay." Joey nodded hard. She witnessed how strong and skilled Caspian was with her own eyes. Caspian was capable enough to kill these criminals with one gun, and by himself. This wasn't something that anyone could do. Joey felt hopeful again. She started to focus on how to attack the enemy. The two moved around the forest as they started to counter the enemy's attacks. Seeing how Caspian and Joey managed to beat these criminals into a bloody mess, Mason felt motivated as well. He didn't want to hide any longer. Instead, he leaped down from the tree. Picking up a gun, he focused on fighting the rest of the men. With Caspian, Joey, and Mason working together, they started to launch a counterattack. However, there were more people on the enemy's part. Caspian and the other two weren't in a good situation. "Ah!" Mason shrieked as his face contorted in pain. A bullet had hit his calf. "Mason!" Joey yelled anxiously when she saw Mason get shot. "I'm all right." Gritting his teeth, Mason found a tree and hid behind it. Joey and Caspian didn't dare to relax even a bit. They went on to fight the enemy. But at that moment, Joey was out of bullets. All the clips she brought were used up as well. Noticing that Joey was out of bullets, the men started shooting endlessly right at her. "Chief Sanders, catch the gun." At that critical moment, Joey heard Caspian shouting at her. A machine gun flew in her direction. Joey caught the gun firmly. There was murderous intent in her eyes. Bang! 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 The moment she got the gun, Joey blasted multiple shots at the enemy. All those criminals were shot, and they fell onto the ground. When Caspian saw that Joey was out of bullets, he kicked a machine gun to where she was. They cooperated with each other perfectly. Their backs facing each other, They didn't miss any blind spots as they attacked their enemy relentlessly. Their aim was perfect, and they managed to kill most of the men on their enemy's side. Those criminals were brimming with fury as well after seeing so many of their men die. Exasperated, they fired back at Caspian and Joey. Bang, bang, bang! The sound of gunshots echoed around the rocky den. When Joey and Caspian used up all their bullets, they picked up guns from the floor and continued to fight. In just 2 minutes, over half of the people from the two gangs were dead. The timid ones had already escaped to the foothills. Bang! Right then, a bullet was shot toward Joey from an unsuspected direction. It was too late for Joey to dodge it when she realized that, widening her eyes, she felt that it was over for her this time. Bang! Almost about the same time, another shot was fired. Joey thought someone else was trying to shoot her again. She was totally hopeless. As she watched the bullet zooming closer and closer toward her face, another bullet flew in horizontally and hit the first bullet. Joey was astounded. How could there be such an accurate shot? Was that just a coincidence? Bang! She heard another gunshot. Arg! Someone yelled in pain. The criminal standing across Joey was shot in his chest. When Joey came back to her senses, she realized that it was Caspian's doing. At that moment, Joey suddenly recalled something. Could Caspian have been the one who had saved her just now? Joey became even more astonished with that idea in mind. Everything that happened just now was not a coincidence at all. Caspian's accurate gunshot had saved her life. Joey couldn't believe that Caspiana's shooting skills would be at such a high level. The chances of shooting another moving bullet were near impossible. At that moment, Joey felt nothing but respect toward Caspian. She was wholly impressed by Caspian's excellent marksmanship. Was Caspian really just a regular soldier back then? What are you standing there for? Do you want to get killed? Seeing how Joey was standing there frozen, Caspian reminded her. No. Joey shook her head. She knew that she had to focus when facing this kind of situation. They started another round of attack. Jaden had never thought that the 300 men from the Flying Dragons and the Shadow Dragons would be badly defeated by Caspian and Joey. Could any normal human being do such a thing? Jaden was not a fool. He knew that he couldn't fight against Caspian and Joey in such a situation. It'd be better to back off for now. After Jaden left in secret, Caspian and Joey got rid of all the remaining men in the area. Are you all right, Mason? Joey asked as she walked to Mason. I'm okay. I just don't know whether Harry is alive or dead now, Mason said. Okay, I'll go check on him now. After saying that, Joey dashed to the other side. Caspian followed suit. When Joey arrived at where Harry was, she only realized that Harry's chest was covered in fresh blood. Harry, are you all right? Joey asked. She crouched beside Harry. At that moment, Harry was already in a coma due to severe blood loss. Hang in there, Harry. I'll call an ambulance right away. Joey teared up. To everyone's surprise, the leader of the Flying Dragons, who was lying breathlessly on the ground a second ago, suddenly aimed a shot at Joey. Bang! A gunshot could be heard. The bullet was zooming toward Joey. Ah! Joey's face went dark. As she watched the bullet get nearer to her, she became hopeless. She could only close her eyes and accept her fate. Right after that, she felt blood splattered on her face. She thought that she was dead already, but to her surprise, she found herself unharmed when she slowly opened her eyes. Instead, one of Caspian's legs turned bloody. Only then did Joey realize what happened. Caspian sacrificed himself to save her. Caspian managed to raise his leg and stop the shot at that critical moment, saving Joey from the bullet. Seeing how Caspiana helped her out, Joey felt a mixture of emotions. She was so exasperated that she couldn't speak a word. The moment Caspian heard the gunshot, he saw that the bullet was already near. If he hesitated for a second, Joey would be killed. He could only react by blocking the bullet with his own leg. That man, who wanted to launch a secret attack, didn't think Caspian would help Joey out by blocking that shot. When he was about to shoot again, Caspian had already taken action. Bang. Caspian pulled the trigger with no mercy. Chapter 100 Wrong Ideas. Arg. That man, who wanted to sneakily attack Joey, let out a shriek. He was then shot to death. Are you okay, Caspian? Seeing Caspian's condition, Joey was concerned. She was very touched by how Caspian was willing to block that bullet for her. If she didn't have Caspian with her tonight, she would have died multiple times. Caspian had saved her life again and again at critical moments. If it wasn't for Caspian, she couldn't have survived under 300 men's attack. I'm okay, Caspian said with a calm look. Caspian was quite concerned about this. For these 2 days, the York family and the Flying Dragons would certainly think of any way to protect themselves. Now that he'd gotten hurt, he wouldn't be able to fight back if anything happened by then. However, Joey would have lost her life if he didn't help out. Caspian even thought that he was being too careless. If it was before, he would have had an easy time facing off hundreds of men, holding the title of Lord Caspian. Wouldn't he be seen as a joke if the rumor got out that he was injured when fighting these useless minions? Chief, Mason saw blood being splattered all over Joey's face. He thought that she was hurt. Suppressing his pain, he went up to Joey and asked her. Don't worry, I'm fine, Joey said. Mason took a closer look. He realized that Joey wasn't hurt. Instantly, he became shocked. He exclaimed, Thank God you're okay. I was so scared. Caspian saved me. If not, I would have died, Joey said. Mason glanced at Caspian. He noticed how Caspian's left leg had turned bloody. He then realized what happened. Thank you for saving Chief Sanders. Mason was moved. Mason felt nothing but respect toward Caspian. If it wasn't for Caspian's help, Joey would have been in great danger. You're welcome, he replied. Harry! Harry! Joey yelled again to wake Harry up. I'm not dead yet, Chief. Hearing Joey's shouting, Harry slowly opened his eyes. His injury wasn't lethal. He only passed out due to blood loss. Thank God you're okay. A smile appeared on Joey's face. Where is the enemy? Harry looked around and asked. He didn't know what happened just now. They were defeated by us. Joey said, What? Did more people come over from the police station to help us? Harry asked. No. It was Caspian and Chief who worked together and got rid of all those men. Mason said. He felt exhilarated thinking back on how Caspian and Joey worked perfectly together. What? Was it just Caspian and Chief? They defeated the 300 men of the enemy. Harry was astounded. He couldn't believe it at all. That's right. You're badly hurt. Don't talk for now, Mason said. What's going on today? Why haven't our men arrived yet? Joey asked with confusion. On the way here, she had already told Caspian to call the police station. Logically speaking, they should have been here by now. Forget it. Let's call an ambulance first. As Joey spoke, she pulled her phone out. After calling the station, Joey looked right at Caspian. Gratefully, she said, Caspian, thank you so much. You didn't just save me, you saved my colleagues as well. I don't know how to repay you for this. Joey was so touched that she couldn't speak coherently. She didn't know how to face Caspian. Don't get any wrong ideas about me. I'm a married man, Caspian joked. Nonsense. Joey blushed. Caspian was really good at imagining things. Although he saved her, she wasn't an easy woman. It was just a joke. Looking at Joey's red cheeks, Caspian felt that it was fun teasing this woman. But he already had Willow, his beautiful wife at home. Caspian didn't intend to start any relationships with other women. Joey crossed her arms and snorted. I'll apply for the bravery award for you. You can do that. Just don't get any wrong ideas about me, Caspian said with a smile. He wouldn't turn away a bravery award. After all, he had put in so much effort. Joey was speechless. She wished she could kick Caspian now. This man was good at imagining things. She's a beauty in the police station. How could she possibly have any wrong ideas about him? Right then, the police cars sped toward the place. A lot of policemen dashed forward. "How's the situation here, Chief Sanders?" The officer leading the rest of the police went up to Joey and asked her, "Why are you guys so late?" Joey demanded. "They would have died here if Caspian wasn't here today." "We didn't mean it," the policeman said anxiously. "Forget it. Go check the situation at the crime scene. Find out what's going on." Joey knew that this was a serious matter. They had to look into this thoroughly. Okay. The policemen were all startled to see bodies lying everywhere. What happened here? How did these 300 people get killed? They never would have thought that it was Caspian and Joey who had defeated everyone here by working together. When the policemen cleared out the scene, they discovered a large number of illegal substances and cash. It was no wonder that there were so many members from the Flying Dragons and the Shadow Tigers today. This transaction was probably really important to them. It's just that they didn't expect Caspian to help turn the tides. The men from the Flying Dragons used these substances to control teenage girls. They then asked these girls to provide sexual services for them. Caspian had already decided to kill off the Flying Dragons, who did all sorts of bad deeds. "Let's leave. The ambulance will probably be here soon," Joey said. "Okay." Caspian nodded. Then, Joey asked the policeman to carry Mason and Harry down the hill on stretchers. Caspian was ready to head down alone. Joey was taken aback when she saw how Caspian could don't try to act tough. "They might amputate your leg. Let someone carry you down," Joey said in concern. "It's okay. I don't need it. I can still go on." Caspian rejected Joey's idea. "Okay then," Joey nodded and said, "I saved you with my own life. I don't have to follow you to the station anymore, do I?" Caspian asked. "Since you sacrificed yourself to save me and defeated all the bad guys, I'll bring you to the hospital for treatment. After that, we'll visit the police station," Joey said. "That's kind of you," Caspian said. "But don't even think about escaping from me. We still haven't properly looked into your matters," Joey said with a serious look. "Don't worry. How would I be able to escape in such a condition?" Caspian asked. "Humph. You better be good," Joey said. When they reached the foothill, the ambulance had arrived as well. Then, Caspian, Harry, and Mason went into the ambulance. They were dragged to the hospital,